Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 2. Right, my pick then is John Wick Chapter 2. So why did I pick John Wick Chapter 2? Well, I had quite a few options for this one, as, you know, this is quite an open subject of R-rated action films, so I had quite a few in my head, like, you know, well, all the John Wick films, like Die Hard as well, and Kill Bill, but then I ended up having 2 at the end, John Wick 2 and Kill Bill Volume 1, and I eventually went for John Wick Part 2, Chapter 2. There's more to talk about because of the whole, like, world is really quite unique, and the action is quite unique as well, and a lot of it as well. Why John Wick Chapter 2 and not the others? I think probably John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum probably has more action to it, but I think the story does get a bit convoluted and a bit too complex, I think, for my liking.
Yeah, I do think it gets pretty muddled.
So what happens in John Wick Chapter 2? Well, John Wick is kind of pissed that
he's always pissed.
His car's been stolen, so he gets his car back with a bit of car foo and a bit of wrestling, a bit of fighting in this hangar, gets his car back. A little banged up, you could argue.
I like how the mechanic guy said he'll get it ready by Christmas 2050 or something.
Yeah. It's pretty, because he says, like, the engine is just about to fall out, so I'm just like, dude, you could have just drove off straight away. You didn't have to kill everyone.
He's John Wick, he must kill everyone.
But then when he's in his house, a character called Santino Di Antonio turns up, played by Richard Scaramisco, and he wants him to kill his sister, because she's on the high table, and he wants to be on the high table instead of her, because, I don't know, sibling rivalry or something.
Because he's evil.
John Wick says, no, I'm not in this game anymore. But, well, what he realises, what they both realise, but we don't, is, what we soon learn, is that they have a blood oath. So, to get out of this hitman world, San Antonio did a massive job for Wick so he could get out. But he does this, like, blood thumbprint in this nice case thing, so whenever he comes back, John has to do a favor for San Antonio, D'Antonio, whatever he's called. And obviously, because John says no, his house gets blown up and he's forced into doing this job for him, and it goes from there, really. And then D'Antonio betrays him anyway, because he's like, oh, you wouldn't think I would not avenge my sister, did you? So yeah. John Wick basically ends up trying to kills everyone, pretty much. So, and then it goes kind of horribly wrong for him at the end, where he has an open contract on him because he kills D'Antonio at the end on continental grounds, and you can't do that. So this open contract is out on him and is excommunicado, and literally by the end, everyone is trying to kill him in an hour's time for like 14 million, because I think they double it in the end. Yeah, I really like this film. I think it's really action-packed, and I think one of the main things I like about it is that you could see all the actors actually doing all the stunts themselves. They really bring the camera out and keep it fairly wide. So you're like, oh yeah, shit, there's no stunt people in this. Keanu is basically doing it all himself.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about this one then?
Yeah, I agree. I think the action in it is amazing. Stunt work is phenomenal. It looks it's so brutal, it's so cool, there's so many good set pieces. And I agree, the fact that you see it is Keanu Reeves a lot of the time, it kind of adds weight to it, you know? It makes it a little more special.
So directing then, I love the opening scene where it goes straight into a car chase.
Yeah, it has like a Buster Keaton film being played on the side of a building. I thought that was funny because Buster Keaton is like the first stuntman, basically. And you have this film which is just... I mean, it's directed by a stuntman, written and directed by a stuntman and stunt coordinator or something.
Yeah.
And there are so many like real-life stunts, so, you know, great homage.
Yeah, Chad Stahelski. Yeah, so, you know, the opening scene is like a car chase in the streets of New York at night, which look beautiful, by the way. And, like, the roaring sound of the Mustang engine, like, really comes through in the soundtrack. It's really nice. But what I love is the fact that we don't get a good look at John Wick. I love it in films when they shoot around the main character's identity at the start, when you know exactly who it is, you know, and I think probably my favourite case of that type of scene is in Raiders of the Lost Ark at the start. Is probably my favourite example of that.
I like, as you said, the opening. That was really cool with the car and the Mustang. And when he slams into the motorbike, that was pretty aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
There's one takeout that he does at the beginning, which I thought was amazing. Like, they build up his myth. Of the people in the warehouse have got his car, and the guy is like, seriously, we need to like leave, yeah? And the guy's like, it's just one man. It's like, it's John Wick. Oh. And like, they just kind of build him up, telling like stories about him while he's just killing men in the background. And one of the craziest takedowns he does, because, you know, he's just making them disappear and just killing them. Splinter Cell, like, there was that guy that lights up a cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was crazy. How did they shoot that? He lights up a cigarette, and John Wick puts his hand over his mouth so he swallows the cigarette, and then he's like, you know, yeah, man, that must have hurt.
That was good.
Yeah, I don't get how they did that. That was pretty good.
I loved it when John is escaping the Rome nightclub, and he gets on stage and he shoots a guy, and the crowd just cheers. It's kind of bizarrely funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Like, they just assumed it was part of the show. They're like, yeah, this is cool. Whoa.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Someone actually died, people. Come on.
Yeah, it's not tomato ketchup. He is actually dead.
But I think one of my favourite fights in this film is the Catacombs gunfight with the assault rifle and shotgun he has. I mean, there's a lot of like long takes and wide shots throughout with like very few cuts to show that Keanu is doing everything, especially the reloads. That's all him too, you know. You don't usually see that, and it makes the scenes more realistic too. And Chad Stahelski, the director, described Keanu Reeves' gun work with the targets as like world class. And there's lots of YouTube videos of Keanu doing that. Check it out; it's really impressive what he does with that. I think it's on probably the extras on the DVD as well. But what I love most is the sound effects of the guns, especially the shotgun. It sounds like really booming and powerful. My only gripe, though, is that it's a little too dark at times with the lighting, so it's difficult to tell who is shooting sometimes, but that was just a little thing.
I was going to say, you know where he kills the Santiago sister?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I quite like the scene of that where she slits her wrists, lays in the bath.
D'Antonio,
yeah. Lays in the bathtub. And you have a bird's eye view of her, you know, bleeding out in the bathtub. And it reminded me of, like, angel wings. How her blood just kind of emanates out of her wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, you know, pretty awesome religious symbolism taken from, like, a grisly, you know, death and stuff.
I quite like the fact that she's not letting John Wick kill her, even though he does shoot her in the head, but... Yeah. She's taking control of her death. She's not letting him kill him straight away. She's just like, all right, I've got no way out here. All right, I'm going to do it myself. Screw you. You know, I'm not going to let you have the satisfaction, even though John has no satisfaction killing her at all, but because he has no choice. But yeah, that was a good scene there.
His fights with Cassian.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I thought they were great, especially like his second fight where. You know, where they go down, they tumble down the stairs and all that. Fucking, that was so intense.
That really hurt.
Yeah.
Because they kind of start off with like trying to shoot each other like through the cars, and then it's kind of like fisticuffs again, and it feels like really painful. But like what I loved is the fact that it doesn't feel choreographed, which is always a good in my book, for a fight. And I think because the pace is really fast, it's really creative with like the knife work, and they both get their guns out at one point and try and shoot each other on the ground, which is quite good. And there's some great wrestling moves in there too. Again, the camera is fairly wide, so the actors are actually doing it. But yeah, the falling down the stairs, like, ouch, that felt quite painful.
Yeah.
I mean, the stunt guys must, I suspect, were not looking forward to that night,
Yeah, no, I definitely, I agree with you there. And it's like, I think they go down like 3 lots of stairs, 3 or 4, because they go down, and then they stand back up, kick the crap out of each other, and throw each other down another set of stairs. You're like, good God, try something else. It's obviously not working.
The stunt guys must be like, can we please, like, choose some different steps?
Yeah, made of
some
foam.
smaller ones.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite scenes with Cassian, for me, that really sticks out in this film for me is when Cassian is chasing John through a station, and Cassian is on, like, the upper level and is taking, like, casual pop shots at John, and John does the same as they're both like walking along casually.
Yeah.
It's almost like stealth firing at each other, and it's utterly ridiculous that nobody around them is running away or hears any of this. But I've never really seen a shootout like that before. It just was like really creative and cool.
You don't see many like stealth shootouts, It's kind of amusing because they're just walking and they're just pretending nothing's going on while they're like...
It's just absurd, though.
Yeah.
That, like, no one's running away, but anyway.
Yeah. And then it kind of goes into, like, a sort of muted, like, stealth knife fight where they're trying to stab each other but not really let on. They're trying to, like, knife the hell out of each other.
I kind of like the fact that they're, like, staring at each other while everyone's getting off the train, after each station. I
was going to say, you were going to mention that, but the shootout in the whole Hall of Mirrors freaky place, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. Like, takes the Hall of Mirrors fight scene, like we saw in that Bruce Lee film, Enter the Dragon, takes that to a higher level.
Yeah, definitely riffing on that. Yeah, I really like the set design in that scene because it's all like lit up a little bit with all different neon colours as well, which in the mirrors, which looked amazing. But I like the like spinning doors aspect of the set, and there's one bit where there's a goon just seemingly on his own, then John just appears from a door from nowhere he didn't think was there, like right by the camera, and he takes him out easily. And then there's like a clever moment where John shoots a goon, but it's a mirror, but then immediately shoots through the mirror next to him and takes the goon out. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, like
way of just using the set. But I really like the action scene just before that, where he spends like his £7 million bullets in about 3 seconds on these guys in the museum at the start of the action scene.
Yeah.
Because obviously he got £7 million worth of bullets from the Bowery King. 7 bullets, £1 million each.
Yeah. That's $1 million a round, baby.
But the scene like shows off John Wick's like iconic gun fu, and there's lots of great bits where he like chucks an empty gun at a goon and then nicks the guy's gun and takes out a load more. Like he shoots a guy through a wall, and Keanu shows off like a one-handed reload, which looks really impressive and cool. I just love all that, the gun fu stuff. It's just really creative, and you can get, I think, creative with the choreography. You could tell they spent a lot of work and time on that stuff.
It was also really cool having him, the stare down with Santiago, where he kind of appears in the middle of his party in the museum. And it's just looking at him, And I just love how everything's hustle and bustle, and then everybody clocks on slowly, like that he's here. And just like everything, everybody quiets down. I do like that.
Have you got a favourite shot then?
I got quite a few. There are quite a lot of shots, both camera and bullet, which are really cool. Yeah. There's some really kind of just strange ones. Do you remember when he was like leaving the Hall of Mirrors, and you have this? It kind of messed with my head a bit, where he's walking, and the doors have mirrors on them as well, and you think he's just it's a shot of him walking towards the camera, but then it's like that's actually the doors you're looking at, so it must be like first person, where it's like his body, doors open, his body. It just looked really trippy. That was a pretty weird shot. Right. I've never seen that before. And I like also, we haven't talked about this, but the usage of subtitles I think is fascinating to like incorporate them as like a design choice, like an art almost in the film. I really like that.
It just makes them like really stick out,
Yeah.
Like with Ruby Rose, who's a deaf character. It just makes her character more impactful with the really stylized subtitles.
Yeah, definitely.
My favorite shot is right near the beginning, the shot where John gets his car back and it jumps out of the garage. It's like so nice with a little slow motion, just a really gorgeous shot that where it jumps in the rain. That was just really nice.
Yeah,
I do like a car stunt. So, directing score, Boaz, what are you going for?
Yeah, I'll give this quite a high one because it's visually amazing. Stunt work is great. The sets are great. I like the style of it. As we were saying, the subtitles, just everything. I think it's just so well designed. I'm going to give this like an 8 point. No, not 8 point, 9.4.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with that, really. I think my favourite aspect is the fact that they're not really like hiding of what these guys can and can't do. It's either they can do it or they can't. So they bring out these wide lenses and they make the guys do all the choreography themselves. Yeah, it does go tight at times, but I think that's just for the intensity of the action in the like the fisticuff wrestling fights between Cassian and John. But they're both doing it for real. So there's only very few parts where they're not. So just for that aspect, I think it's got to be right up there. The fact that these filmmakers are so committed to that, to doing everything for real. And the story and the lore is really good as well. So I'm going to go like 9.2, I think. Right, screenplay then. There's a lot of great stuff in this screenplay. Like at the beginning, Abram talks to his right-hand man at the start about how dangerous John Wick is, and it's like intercut with John like taking out a load of men at the same time, and obviously still hiding his identity until the last shot where Keanu walks out of the darkness into the light. Which is quite a fun shot there to see his face for the first time. But he ends by saying, "I can assure you that the stories you hear about this man, if nothing else, has been watered down." And then the phone rings, and Wick says in Russian, "You have my car." Abram says, "The Baba Yaga." And he seems like really freaked out by it. And it just reestablishes John Wick as this insane, badass motherfucker. To be
Oh, yeah. 100%. He's fucking crazy. Don't mess with this shit. Like, people always mess with him. You kill his dog, you steal his car, burn his house. Are you stupid?
Yeah, they just don't learn, these bad guys.
What I think is cool is I actually quite like Santiago, I was going to say. I like the villain. I think he's probably my favorite villain in the
D'Antonio.
In the John Wick series. And you could just tell he's just like a slimy, fucking arrogant, jackass. And you could tell he's shit scared of John, like he's pretending to be all brave. But I think he betrayed John because he knows, like, once I don't know if he actually intended to betray him at the beginning, is the thing, like, on a rewatch, watching it again, or if he just came up with that plan because it's like, when John does this hit, he's going to have revenge, like, for his house. He blew up his house, I don't know if he was just preempting that.
What? The fact that D'Antonio was going to try and kill John after he killed his sister, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was always going to do that, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he is quite a slimy bastard.
But I like, the introduction of the marker thing or the blood oath thing between two assassins that they give each other. I quite like that story device. So if one assassin wants a massive favor, they can do it like a blood thumbprint on this little fancy case, and then the other assassin can repay the favor at any time. As I said, when John Wick refuses and Santino D'Antonio. He says as he's leaving, you have a beautiful home, John, and you just know he's going to blow up his house when he says that.
Yeah.
He should have really prepared and just got out.
He should have left.
But he kind of made that quite obvious.
Yeah. Another line I like where they talk to each other is in the art gallery, where he's talking about, okay, I'll do the job, what is it? And I like the exchange. He's like, you're still angry with me, aren't you, John? He goes, you're thinking about killing me right now. How would you do it, I wonder? That lady's purse? That man's tie? And he's like, with my hands.
Oh, yeah. With my hands.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not going to screw around. I'm not going to, pencil you to death, like these legends. I'm just going to strangle the fuck out of you.
One of my favourite scenes is the gearing up scene with Peter Skarafonowicz as the sommelier. He's describing these weapons in such detail, like they're fine wines in a restaurant.
Yeah.
The acting from Peter is so English and posh. It's brilliant. Robust, precise, highbrow.
Yeah. And for dessert.
Also, it's cool how the scene is intercut with the cartographer looking at the maps and the old catacombs and the tailor measuring up John for his new suit, his bulletproof new suit.
Yes.
That was fun.
I was thinking, do you remember it shows off like the bulletproofness of his dinner jacket in a very strange way? Where there's that intercut of 3 times assassins were going after him when the bounty has been put out. That big fat guy, that violin player.
Oh, right.
And those Asian guys, where he does some cool things, like he kills those Asian guys with a pencil, which is, a big thing they always talk about in both the films. You finally get to see it. But also, like, he uses his dinner jacket as a, shield, like a Captain America sort of thing, where he, blocks her bullets with his dinner jacket, doing that. I've never seen anything like that. That is so weird, But it was just showing, how awesome that dinner jacket is. It's a Captain America shield of dinner jackets.
I quite liked it from the tailor when he was saying, it's bulletproof, but it's quite painful, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I like the little dialogue scene between John and Cassian just before the action scene in Rome, where Cassian just says, John. And then John says, Cassian, you working? Yeah, you? Yeah. Good night? Afraid so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. And then bang, bang, and then you find out they have the same tailor.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. They're both bulletproof.
With a bulletproof suit.
Yeah. That was really awesome. I like that. It was like a Western quick draw. I quite like that bit.
And at the end in Central Park with Winston, John Wick says, then why am I not dead? And Winston says, because I'm deemed it not to be. And then Winston does this nod to his man and says, now. And then everyone in the Central Park area just stands still, which is a really cool visual, but it seems like everyone in New York is an assassin.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
no normal people around.
There's no normal people, yeah. I think there's one tourist who happens to be a real person. But it to
Still
me,
walking.
it kind of doesn't make that much sense, the world where almost everybody, even the homeless, are assassins, because it's who's going to pay you? I mean, why are you doing this charade? Everybody's an assassin. It just seems a bit strange. Maybe work is just the economy has gone to shit. And the only thing you can get paid for is being an assassin. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of great, cool lines in this. Consider this a professional courtesy. Well, of course, John. Yes, John. Whatever you like, John. Would you like a back rub with that, John? From the Bowery King.
Oh yeah, that was good. Thought it was awesome that they got them back together. Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves. It's amazing. It's just a fabulous reunion,
And they even, in the third film, they even nick the line from Matrix when he says, oh, what was it? Oh, what do you need? Guns, lots of guns.
Yeah. It's they know. They know what the fans want to see, You get these two actors back from the Matrix, yeah. You gotta make a nod to it. I do like how the Bowery King, though, Lawrence Fishburne is nothing like Morpheus. Absolutely nothing like Morpheus.
Yeah. He's really going for it, Lawrence Fishburne, in this. John says to him, so I guess you have a choice. You want a war or do you want to give me a gun? And then Lawrence Fishburne says, "Somebody please get this man a gun."
Yeah, he was having fun with saying that line.
And Abram, played by Peter Stormare at the start, he has a funny bit where he says, "He once killed 3 men in a bar with a pencil." And then he says, "Yeah, I know, I've heard this story, sir. With a fucking pencil. Who the fuck can do that?" I thought my accent was quite good there, anyway.
I'm sure the Russian people would disagree.
I think not.
I think you mean, I think not.
I've got John Wick's phone number on standby, anyway. Have you got a favourite line, then?
Actually, I think I might go with where he's talking about how he'll just kill Santonio with his hands, with his bare hands. I also like how Santonio dies. I thought that's great.
Oh, yeah.
The smug little shit dies mid-sentence.
Yeah.
"Run along, John." And he's just like, bang! Just blows his fucking head. Shut up.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as, like, John walks into the hotel, the Continental, when he's still holding his gun, you know he's going to shoot someone. He just, you know he's going to shoot D'Antonio.
He doesn't really have much of a sensible choice, though, at the time. Because he can either leave the Continental and eventually he will be killed by, assassins. It's like, he's still got a hit out on him. Santonio can just stay there indefinitely. He needs his revenge.
Yeah. What I quite like about these films is that, like, John, certainly in this one, like, John respects the rules, but he will only abide by the rules when he wants to, He doesn't give a shit. Yeah. He'll use the rules to his advantage, but when, he just, like, says no thanks to the blood oath, he doesn't care. Because he's John Wick. I can do what the fuck I want. When he just shoots D'Antonio, I'm not going to let this guy live. I mean, he could stay in the Continental for the rest of his life and be safe. But John Wick's like, you know what? No, screw that. I will kill him and then just face the consequences afterwards. I'm not going to let a stupid rule stop me,
I like the line that Santonio says when they're in the place of mirrors and they're, he's fighting all of his guys. Yeah. And he's like, "You could have just run away, John. Do you know what? I think you're addicted. I think you're addicted to the vengeance." I think, since his wife died, it does seem like...
Yeah, he's right, though, isn't he?
It's not the littlest thing. I mean, like, this is quite a major thing. You blew up my house and tried to kill me. Like, you are going to die. But, yeah, he definitely does go... If he's going to have revenge on you, he's not going to say a word. He's going to fucking kill you. It doesn't matter who comes in the way. You're going to die.
So my favourite line is pretty much near the end from Keanu Reeves. And he says, "Winston, tell them all. Whoever comes, whoever it is, I'll kill them. I'll kill them all." And there's like a nice push in on Keanu Reeves as he says it, just to make it more epic. And then Winston just says, "Of course you will." Yeah. And then just, John runs off.
I like his smile because it's like, I think he's like, yeah, of course you will. Like, it's such a stupid thing to say. Of course you're going to kill everybody.
And I like it in the third film where Winston's like, "I think the odds are fairly even, to be fair."
Yeah.
All of New York versus John Wick.
Yeah.
Score then, Boaz. What are you going for screenplay?
It's an incredibly fun screenplay. I'm going to go 8.7.
I think this script is actually quite good. Yes, it's a fairly basic, like, revenge tale, like the first one was as well, but a few bits of twists in there, kind of, with D'Antonio basically turning on him, and I like the blood oath stuff. All these new rule additions I quite liked. I think that's the only one. I think they pitched that quite well, and I think in the third one they just add up too much with, like, the ticket and all the high table stuff.
Yeah, I think with the third one, it feels a bit forced because it gives convoluted reasons for him to be somewhere else so they can explain more functions of the organization. Yeah. And rather than what's, it's like to make an excuse to flesh out the world. I think in this, it feels very natural. He should be here and he should be here and he should be here. Yeah. And you're learning more about this system.
Yeah. So I think they pitch, like, the additional rules and things quite nice and perfectly. Yeah, I'll go 8.7 as well, I think. So acting then. I love the acting from Peter Stormare when John Wick is taking everyone out in the hangar, and it cuts to him sometimes in the chair doing like these shifty eyes, like he's shitting himself.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh shit, and it's quite funny. When is he going to come?
Yeah, you can tell he knows this was a really bad idea. He's so arrogant though.
And there's some great like car foo, if you will, at the start. And there's a bit, as you said, when he takes out a motorbike by leaving out the car door, and the car door goes flying. But you can actually see Keanu Reeves is actually driving the car, and they're not cutting around him, where they often do that in films, which I thought was really cool. The fact that they're not just, with the direction, not showing that you can do all the fights, but you can actually drive this car like a stunt guy as well. The fact that you can see the whole of his body in the car seat, I thought was a really clever move there.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say this in direction as well, but do you remember the bit where he gets slammed out of his car? I love that shot. I should have said that when we were talking about camera work. That was incredible, where this other car hits him and he just flies out of the side of the car. That was incredible. And he's kicking people's ass with his car.
What do you think about John Wick's fighting style in these films?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's, as he kind of talks about, it's tactical. It's not over the top. He just punches a guy, stabs a guy, throws a guy around. A lot of, judo-inspired locks and throws and stuff. And you can tell he can fight, but he's not the best fighter. Like, seriously, there are so many people, even regular grunts, who can kick the shit out of John Wick. He is more comfortable, like, using weapons. And I like whenever he gets in a physical fight, like, when he gets yeeted out of the car and he's fighting those regular guys, he does beat them, like, pretty handily. But then there's this big guy who is kicking the crap out of him because, he knows how to fight. John Wick kind of knows the basics. And the guy's kicking the crap out of him. And then John Wick just pulls his gun and blows off his kneecap. So it's like, if I've got a gun, I'm going to use that. He's far more... And I like even with the fight with him and Cassian, it's fairly evenly matched, but Cassian is a better fighter. But John is always trying to just blow his head off, like get the gun and just like shoot him in the head.
Do you think? I still think John Wick was probably a better fighter than him. Because like he beats him comprehensively on the train. So
I think Cassian might be a better fighter. John is better with weapons. He beats him with the knives and he's a better gunman. And he is a pretty good fighter, but I just don't think he's like top tier even in his universe. I think a lot of people can actually beat him physically, but he can think on his feet. And again, if he can find a weapon, anything, he's going to use it. And it doesn't matter what it is. He prefers guns, but it can be anything. I like the addition of the pencil. Obviously, he is fighting these two Asian guys, and he is kind of at one point like getting his ass kicked, but just brings out a pencil, stabs the absolute crap out of both of them.
In the eye.
Yeah, in the eye. In the back of the neck as well. Yeah.
Pretty brutal stuff. John Wick, does what's necessary to take these guys out, which I quite like about John. He doesn't do anything flary or, he just does what's necessary. And it's not pretty, This is one action hero which his fighting style isn't particularly pretty. Certainly with, the wrestling and judo stuff. Yeah, the gun fu stuff is quite cool. But when he doesn't have a gun, it's just I got to do whatever is necessary. When
he doesn't have a gun, he gets thrown around a bit, and he does do a lot of messy, dirty fighting to try and get on top. I think it's great to complement this between the other Keanu Reeves action tentpole of The Matrix, and he is not Neo. Like, Neo is pitch perfect precision, kung fu master of every art and discipline. John Wick knows enough to get by, and then he's making up the rest. Do you know what I mean? If he gets in a fight, it's just
Yeah. So, favorite performance, Keanu Reeves. Moving on.
Obviously. And I love Lawrence Fishburne, and again, I just like the fact that it's he's not like Morpheus. He is like his badass, cousin who might somehow be related to Samuel Jackson. Just really kind of over the top and street smart.
I do like D'Antonio as the bad guy in this, but I think I prefer the bad guys in John Wick 3, to be fair. They're just more interesting, I think. Even with the high table secretary, she's quite cool. So acting score, Boaz, what are you going for?
I'm going to give this a 8.5.
I mean, Keanu Reeves is not the best actor in the world. Not at all, but certainly he can do action. He can do action really, really well. So I think you have to respect that.
He can play a badass. He can play a stoic badass.
He is written completely as type as a Keanu Reeves badass. Any other character that's slightly off from this, it's going to feel a bit strange for like someone like Keanu Reeves, but it's just written perfectly for him. Yeah, I'll go like 8.2, I think. Right, let's add up the scores then for John Wick Chapter 2. John Wick 2 gets 52.7. So John Wick Chapter 2 wins this one by 0.6 points.
Really? Holy crap, that's
0.6
holy shit,
points.
that's close.
To be fair, to upgrade it, put up a really good fight. I just want to see a fight now between John Wick and Grey Trace with Stem, That'd be such a cool fight. I think Stem would win, probably.
I think Stem would kill him, like, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think if you give, like, John Wick all the guns, give him all the guns, and then I think he's got a pretty good shot. But otherwise, Stem is just way too precise.
Right. Next week, as Old comes out in cinemas across the world, we will be focusing on M. Night Shyamalan films, who is the director of that film. So it'll be interesting to see what we pick there, because he has done a lot of great stuff and a lot of really bad stuff.
Yes.
So.
I think the thing with M. Night Shyamalan is he loves his twists, but sometimes he may not think them through.
Yeah. Oh, The Happening. What was that about? Anyway. Right, Boaz, you've been amazing, as always. Bye-bye.
Oh my god, I've upgraded to amazing after about like 40 episodes. I'm fucking glad.
I'd surprise you this morning.
I'm really happy. It's only taken like nearly 40 bloody recordings, and I'm finally amazing. All right, you've been good.
All right,
thanks,
see ya.
Bye.
Bye. That's it for part 2. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so already. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.